There's a moment on a film set which nobody ever thinks about. It's not the applause, it's not the scene you're shooting, it's not even the performance. It's the silence. Just before the director says action. You're standing there, the lights are on, the crew is watching, and for a few seconds it feels like everything rests on you. It looks like a solo moment, but it never really is, because in that moment, you are holding belief. The director who chose you, the cinematographer framing the shot, the focus puller keeping you sharp, the lighting department getting your face just right, the sound recorders catching your every breath, the makeup artist, the set designer, the costume team, and a dozen other people you'll never ever see in the credits. All holding the moment with you. And what looks like one person performing is actually many people bringing together. We love the idea of individual dreams. My ambition, my vision, my success. But if you think about it, if you really think about it, no dream is ever born in isolation. There's a gentleman I follow online, and his name is Simon Squibb. I absolutely love what he does, because this man, his mission in life is to help people achieve their dreams. Please check him out later, follow him, he is worth following. And he said something really interesting in one of his recent videos. He said, you cannot do it on your own. Get it out of your head that you can win on your own. You cannot succeed on your own. There is no such thing as a self-made millionaire. They had help. And he's right. Because every dream we've ever had has been personally shaped by someone who stayed with us a little longer than they had to, by a conversation we remember, by belief someone loaned us when we didn't have any of our own. We don't remember the first time we had the dream, but we do remember the first time someone made it possible. I call it borrowed belief. For as long as I can remember, I have always wanted to be an actor. Not casually, not as a phase. Whenever somebody used to ask me, they say, Ashwin, what do you want to do? I used to say, I want to be an actor. It sounds cool when you say it when you're 10 years old, but you see the worry on their faces when you say it at 18. Not so cool now. Business is a good choice. But I wanted it badly enough to ask my parents to support me in something that made no sense on paper. After I finished Hindu college in Delhi, just want to tell you people I'm educated. Yeah. I got into the drama studio London. And if you know anything about international drama schools, well, they don't come cheap. This was the 1990s. That's the 20th century for some of you young ones. And as a student, or just coming out of college, I could not afford that. I remember sitting with my parents, getting ready to explain, to justify, to convince. Instead, my mother said something very simple. She said, I'd rather you try this and fail than 15 years from now be a tired, depressed, unhappy banker wondering what if. And sometimes I think maybe it would have been nice to have been a tired, depressed, unhappy banker, because at least then I'd be rich. Too late now. But that sentence didn't just fund an education. It funded belief. And when things got hard, because they always do, I wasn't carrying that belief alone. I was carrying the courage somebody else had loaned me. And I carried it all the way through drama school, through my audition, through the early years, until one morning when I thought I would have to give it back. I finished drama school in the UK and I came back to India. And for a while, things were good. Better than good, they were great because I was a working actor. Oh, by the way, that's what all actors secretly want, not necessarily fame, just to be working. Because that's where the real satisfaction is. And I did what all actors do when they start. I did my screen tests. I started out in commercials, some voiceover, moved to television, and then finally the holy grail, films. I was a movie actor. That was my dream. What could possibly go wrong? One morning, I woke up and half my face wasn't moving. The whole left side of my face was paralyzed. I was diagnosed with Bell's palsy. Now, if you don't know what Bell's palsy is, it's a virus that attacks the nerve that controls the facial muscles, and the only way to fix it is by teaching your muscles to move again. I went to bed looking like this. Not perfect, I know. I've come to accept it. And I woke up in the morning looking like this. And that's how I stayed for months. I didn't want to step out. I didn't want to meet anybody. I pretty much thought my acting career was over because I could go as the guy from Scream. I'm already the mask, so probably that's the only role I could have played. I started going for physiotherapy. And I was recovering, but not fully. It was still visible. And then I got a call to audition for Lage Raho Munna Bhai, the second film in a franchise that was already iconic. How many of you have seen the movie? You've seen both? Yes. Package deal? Great. I get called to audition for the second one. I already know how big the first one is. And I remember looking at myself in the mirror, looking at my face, thinking, who am I kidding? How are they ever going to cast me? I almost didn't go, not because I couldn't act, that is a matter of opinion, but because I couldn't hide. I went anyway. I walked into that room, the casting director sitting there, the associates walked into the room, wondering if they could notice it, they could see it. So I did what all good actors do, I lied. With conviction. I said, I've just been to the dentist. They gave me an injection. My face is still numb. Can I still audition? Nobody said anything. I did the audition. And someone in that room, a casting director, a filmmaker, looked past what was imperfect and took a chance. At the time, I was doubting myself the most. Somebody else decided to believe. I got the part, and that role changed the course of my career. Overnight, I went from people not knowing my name to the next day where they still didn't know my name, but at least now they knew my face, and that was good enough for me. And if you look back and you watch the scene where I dropped my father off. That's 20 years ago. I'm very beautiful there. Forget about today. Yeah. As my wife said, oh, you're glowing. Yeah. I'm dropping my father off to the old age home. And he's sitting in the passenger seat. He is wasting his time. fiddling around. I'm getting irritated. I'm getting annoyed. And I look at him and I say, Dad, Dad. You'll see the right side of my mouth upturned. That wasn't a character choice, although people thought it was, because everybody used to say, Ashwin, what a great choice, made you look so mean. And I let them go along with it because people should think you're a method actor. I wasn't at all. Why spoil it? But every time I look at that, it reminds me, yes, I had the Bell's palsy there, but it also reminds me of another thing. It makes me understand all these years later that every dream you've ever chased has been shaped by someone else's belief. Now you might think that's the end of the story, all good, Bell's palsy, long time ago, another century, everything's fine. But I'd like to flip it around now. Because borrowed belief doesn't always flow in one direction. About 7 years ago, I got a message from someone I didn't know. He'd been to the same school I did, around 2 decades apart. Someone gave him his number. We spoke. He wanted to try his hand at screenwriting, get into the industry. I knew someone at a production house, so I made an introduction. That was it. A phone call, a conversation, maybe 20 minutes of my time. I didn't think about it again. 7 years later, I got this message. The message is not like this. I've written it out just in case I carried it around with me, just to let you know. But always good to have it out to read. Hey Ashwin, just wanted to thank you for something you did for me 7 years back. That internship took me down the road to realizing where my true passion lies. I chose medicine over screenwriting. You helped me figure my life out. Thank you. I remember reading that thinking, I did? I didn't do anything. I didn't teach him, I didn't coach him, I didn't mentor him. I did open a door and he walked right through it. And on the other side of the door, he found something I could never have predicted. He didn't become a writer. He became a doctor. But he had to dive into the writing part to discover that it wasn't his passion. I replied to him, I said, sometimes you've got to dive into something you're unsure of to make you realize there's something else out there for you. I had to reply with something profound. So that's what I did. And when I look at that, I think, really? Is that what did I do? I did not do anything. I thought I was just making an introduction. I did not realize that I was holding space for someone to find their life. And I don't know whether he remembers it at that moment the way I do now. But I do. Because I've been on both sides now. I want you to think back to that silence I mentioned at the beginning, the one just before action. For years, I thought that silence was about me gathering courage. But it's not. It's about me recognizing everyone who put me there. My mother, my father, my sister, my wife, my friends, the filmmaker who took a chance, the crew holding their breath. Think of a dream you had that was yours alone, or you have now. Think of a dream you have or had. Who shaped it? Who spoke into it? Who held belief for you even momentarily? It could be a parent, it could be a teacher, it could be a friend, it could be someone who just put in a good word, or it could be someone who just stayed with you when you were questioning yourself. Today, I'd like you to do this. When all this is over, You go back home, you go back to your rooms. I want you to pull out your phone and send that person a message. Tell them you remember. Thank them, even if they don't remember, especially if they don't remember. Now think about this. Who is carrying something you gave them right now? Who's standing in their own version of that mirror moment, the one I had with Bell's palsy, wondering if they should even try? Who is sitting across from someone right now, asking for help, hoping someone will say yes? Who is imagining standing in front of another person saying, I'm just a girl standing in front of a boy, asking him to love her? Notting Hill reference, in case you're wondering. So here's the second thing I'd like you to do today. Today, I'd like you to return a little of that borrowed belief. The next time someone asks for help, say yes. Make the introduction, take the call, open the door, say yes. You won't know which yes matters, but one of them will. You may never know it. 7 years might pass, or 17, or you might never hear about it at all. But somewhere, someone is carrying something you gave them. And that's the beauty of borrowed belief. It doesn't stay in one place. It just moves quietly from one person to the next in the thank you and in the yes. You're already part of someone's dream. You just don't know whose yet. And I'd like to finish this with something I've always wanted to say and I've never really had the chance. And I think this is probably the best place to say it. That was my TED talk. Thank you for listening.